I think backpacking is a really symbolic thing, and a lot of the lessons that are learned out here can be applied to regular life. I'm on a totally different side of the UP now, and this is the Porcupine Mountains. This is a special place, but the timing worked out pretty good because it's October now, and the fall colors have peaked here in the Porkies. I get sick once a year, every year, and it's always when the seasons change, so that should make this a little bit interesting. But I'm feeling pretty good today, so hopefully it's already going away a little bit. So looking ahead, I've got about 150 miles left on this hike across the UP, and that'll all be on the western half of the UP. So I'm guessing including this section, it'll probably be about 3 more sections to complete. But as you can tell, it's getting pretty late in the year, and there's a good chance that these sections are going to go into winter, and who knows what's going to happen then. I'm going to keep hiking, even though I don't have a ton of experience with backpacking in the winter, so this will be a learning experience for all of us. So I'm out of fuel for my stove. Now I was going to stop at the store and get some more fuel on the way out here, but the store's out of fuel. Apparently nobody else in town has fuel. So for this section, if I want to cook, I'm going to have to make a fire. And of course it's been raining and everything's soaking wet, so that makes making a fire a little bit more difficult. Usually birch bark is my go-to thing for starting a fire, but I mean this stuff is soaked, so even birch bark won't catch a flame very well. But this stuff will work pretty good once I have the cedar bark burning. You gotta scratch off the outer layer of bark where it's kind of soft and wet, and underneath that it's pretty dry. You get this nice fluffy stuff. Need a lot of it though. But once you get a spark on this, you can just blow at it and it'll ignite pretty good. Got my pile of cedar shavings here. It's all nice and fluffy. Got some birch bark. Even though this is soaking wet, once this dries out it'll burn really good. And then just a small pile to start the kindling. I already had a fire here last night, and it took a while. trick I found is just to get an ember pile that's strong enough that you can just blow on it to reignite the fire. If it dies when you blow on it, then it's not strong enough. Well, it took a lot longer than just turning on a stove, but I think this oatmeal tastes a little bit better. So far, about 50% of the trail has been puddle. It makes it real hard to walk in a straight line, so I'm ending up just zigzagging across the trail, and that makes for pretty slow going. And I have to get around this somehow. It was raining pretty much all night last night, but as you can see, the sun's coming out now, and I have a feeling it's going to be dry for the rest of the section. At least it won't be raining. There might still be a lot of water on the ground. So despite the fact that I'm getting sick and I have a cold, I feel pretty good. I've just been blowing a lot of snot rockets. That's what you gotta do when you're out here. Can't waste my toilet paper blowing my nose. Since I'm sick, I just can't seem to get enough sleep. I probably got 11 hours last night, and it still didn't feel like enough. And then it's cold, so it's hard to get out of your sleeping bag. And once I did get out, then I'm putting on wet pants, wet shoes, wet socks. That's the best thing to wake up to in the morning. For some reason, it just makes a huge moral difference to be at an actual campsite where I have a real fire pit and I can make a nice fire with seats and everything. It doesn't seem like much, but that makes a big difference. A pretty rough morning this morning. Wasn't feeling very good. Super sore because I pushed it a little bit too far last night. We practically ran up to Summit Peak to catch the sunset, and then after that there's another 2.5 miles to Mirror Lake in the dark. So my feet have been wet for a good 24 hours now, even though it hasn't been raining. The trails are just flooded. They're still wet this morning, and that's the best part. I was wondering how long it would take to capture a fall on camera. But that's been the majority of the hike so far. I've been doing this long enough that I know by the time that this trip is over, I won't be thinking about how uncomfortable or how cold or how much pain I was in. The parts that you remember from these trips are the good parts. I'm gonna remember the fall colors and just the amazing scenery that I've hiked through. There's bald eagles out there. Another thing that makes the Porkies so wild is just the lack of roads. On the other sections of the NCT, it seems like I was crossing a dirt road every few miles, sometimes more often than that. But here in the Porkies, there's one road, and that pretty much outlines the south boundary of the park. But everything inside is just pure wilderness. And that has a big difference on the way that this place feels. Now instead of crossing roads all the time, I'm crossing streams. Most places, especially a state park or a national park or something, would have a bridge here. As you can see, the blue marks on the tree over there, that's where it came from. And I had to get to this side, those blue marks. So I had two options. And that was either just to walk through the river or to find another way across. And in my opinion, that's better than getting my feet wet and walking across the river. I decided to do a bonus mile to go see Overlooked Falls. I hope it's worth it to not overlook it. I'm glad I didn't overlook Overlooked Falls. I'm following the Little Carp River all the way to Lake Superior. That's where I'll be camping tonight. And this has been the easiest trail of this whole section so far. For once, I'm actually up high. The river's down there, and so that means all the water's been flowing down there. And up here, it's dry, flat, and this is the fastest I've been able to walk this whole section. So that makes me real happy. Here's a good example of how high the rivers are right now. That used to be a campsite. So that's where the trail used to go. But everything has collapsed because of the high water. Well, here we go again. I gotta find another way across this river. I see a tree down there. That's even better than last time. Well, I'm not even surprised anymore. As you can probably guess, I have to get to that side. Well, I'm realizing now that I got lucky with the first two crossings. It's kind of unusual to have a nice, big, wide, fallen tree right where you're supposed to cross, or at least pretty close. But there's nothing like that here. So I'm just gonna keep going up the river on this side until I find something. Well, completely by accident, I just met up with another trail. And this is a place that I've been before on a different trip to the Porkies. So at this point, I don't have to cross the river anymore. I can just follow this trail all the way down to the mouth of the river, and there will be a bridge there. Now I'm just hoping and assuming that the bridge at the end hasn't been washed out, because I know another bridge on another river just up the shoreline a little bit has been washed out. And it looks like there is still a bridge. Really nice bridge, actually. It's in good shape. Well, I made it to Lake Superior, and as you can probably tell, it's pretty windy. It's a cold wind coming off the lake. And all the campsites are right on the shoreline, hardly any protection. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. And this might be my new favorite camp spot on the NCT. It's getting harder and harder to wake up every morning. It's just cold. Probably down to 40 degrees this morning. With this wind, it could be in the 30s pretty easy. And I am so thankful for this shelter. And then once I finish this section, I'll be getting picked up and we'll be going to Lake of the Clouds, which is kind of on the north end of the Porkies. I'm not sure why the North Country Trail skips Lake of the Clouds, because that's definitely the highlight of the Porcupine Mountains. And anybody coming through here should definitely check that out. Well, it's a new day, but I'm still dealing with the same problems. I gotta get across the river again. But my feet are dry. That's the important part. Still got pretty wet though. Coming down to the Presque River, and this also marks the end of the Porcupine Mountains State Park. This is a whole new class of river. I haven't seen anything like this so far in the Porkies. And it actually drains over 300 square miles of forest. Well, I can tell I've left the Porkies. The trail's beginning to disappear on me again. Well, this trail has not been maintained in a long time, and it doesn't see a lot of foot traffic apparently. Every once in a while I pick up a little faint piece of tread, but it doesn't last very long. I knew I was losing the trail, but I have the road on the right side of me and Presque River on the left side, so at least I'll kind of be guided in some sort of a straight line. It's like I'm bushwhacking it for now. Well, it's getting dark, and I'm not going to get out of this section of trail tonight. I don't even want to try and follow it in the dark. And since the river's down there, I'm just going to go down there and find a place to camp on the riverbank. Well, I had to do a stupid amount of bushwhacking to get here. But I'd rather camp down by the river than randomly up in the woods somewhere. Last day of the section. I camped down by the river and it turned out to be a pretty decent spot. But now this morning I have a really big hill to climb and then hopefully find the trail somewhere. Well, I found the trail, but I found this dirt road too. And from what I can tell from the trail, nothing's changed. This is what I'm looking at. And there's basically no tread. So instead of following the NCT, I'm just going to take this old private dirt road out to the main highway and then walk down the highway until the NCT crosses over. So I think this is a better route for now. Kind of sick of bushwhacking. And here we go. Hopefully this part's maintained a little bit better. Hopefully there's some kind of trail at least. That's not a good sign. This trail advisory is saying that the trail has been washed out so bad that they're planning on relocating it. So this is what they mean by washouts. I'm going to start counting these. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot. Washout number 2. The trail is nice and muddy again too. Back to wet feet. Washout number 3. Number 4. 5. I think you get the point. I'm gonna stop counting now. Usually I like to make the last day the easy day. I don't think that's gonna happen this time. Well, this is a huge relief. I've reached the Black River. This is the next major river after the Presque Isle. And it's a relief because I think that this means that the bad trail is done with. Should be much easier walking from here on out. Alright, this parking lot here marks the end of my section. So this is the farthest west I'll be going in the UP. And my ride's not here yet. But there's a note. We went to the bottom of Copper Peak Ski Jump. We'll be back soon. This is marked 5 o'clock. It's 5:05 right now. Oh, I missed him by a couple minutes. So from this point on, the NCT is all road walking from here to the border of Wisconsin. Going down that way. And it's all paved road walking. So that's why this is as far west as I'm going. And I've got to say that these have been some of the hardest miles I've done so far, but also some of the most rewarding. So the trail has been in rough shape, very muddy. In some places there's more puddle than there is trail, so half the time I'm not even on the trail, I'm walking next to it. Tons of blowdowns. On top of that, I've been sick too. But even with all those challenges, this has been one of my favorite sections of the whole UP. This is just the perfect time of year to hike through the Porkies. It's really a true wilderness. And I'm walking through the largest stand of old growth forest in the Midwest. Some of these trees are 400 years old. So it's been a humbling hike, but it's been pretty amazing too.